wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Lauren LaRosa is here. And we got some special guests joining us this morning. We have Dontay Banks and we have Kevin Freeman. Welcome, fellas.
Good morning.
How you guys doing this morning?
Oh, that's good.
Tell the people who y'all are, first of all, so they get some context.
I'm Dontay Banks. I'm Little Durk's father.
And I'm Kevin Freeman. I'm the executive director for Little Durk's nonprofit Neighborhood Heroes.
Okay. Well, how is Durk doing, first and foremost?
Oh, he's doing great, wonderful. I just seen him this past Sunday. His spirit is up. He's looking forward, to his day in court, freedom, as as this is going to turn out to be, releasing him. But he's doing great, strong in there.
Now, you have a story as well for people that don't know your story. You want to put them on to a little of your story and who, quote unquote, Big Durk is.
Well, Big Durk is known in Chicago, in the streets of Chicago, not for good, but back in 1993, I got caught in the feds myself, caught up in the feds, and I received a life sentence. And it took me almost 24 years or 26 years to get up out of there. So I spent most of my life, more life in jail than I did on the street.
And you got out at 2019, and at the time, your son was this huge musician.
Yes, sir.
So how did coming back into society work with you and your, because I mean you evolved. You've been in there for 24 years, 26 years, and
26, yeah.
And you came home. So talk about that a little bit.
I'm studying right now today, learning. Even with the cars and the technology of the car, the telephone, I hit send, pick up, and tap.
It's still new, right?
Trying to figure all the rest of it is just a little bit much for me. Even with the car, I put it in drive and go. Make sure that the heat is working, but everything else is take some time, and this is for everybody who's coming out of prison for that long time. All of this is going to be new to us. It's going to take us time to adjust to this new society. One of the things I tell everybody, I spent almost about 2 weeks in Walmart's.
Doing what?
Just each aisle. You're going from, in prison, you're going from 2 soups. Now you're going there, it's 20 soups.
Right.
So you're sitting there trying to figure out, oh man, so many choices. You go in from one cereal to a whole shelf of cereal and you're trying to figure out, oh, I never know these cereals existed. So you're going from aisle to aisle. It's all adventure. It's all like going to the amusement park. So many choices where you didn't have choices before. So it takes time to go through there and you really just get some choices. You just buying stuff to be buying it because you can get it now. These type of things here. So.
What was it like, when you were locked up and Durk is here or was out and he's climbing and he's rising as a star and you're seeing it but you're not seeing it, but like you're calling home, you're feeling it. Like, what was that like?
Oh, that was amazing. At first, I'm on the phone as any father would, go to school, get a trade, go to college.
That's so old school. Get a trade. That's what your parents said. Get a trade. That's right.
I don't want to hear about this. Right? Everybody said they're going to be a rapper. Everybody said they're going to play ball and different things like this. That's every kid's dream.
Right.
So I didn't really take it serious. I'm focused on what I know to be a true career. Get something up under your belt. And every time, I want to rap. And then I asked his brother, his oldest brother, which was DThang at the time, Dontay Banks Jr. I said, is he good? Is he good? Is he gonna go anywhere with this? He said, yeah, he's good. And then it was on what was that?
106 in Park?
106 in Park. I'm in prison and I look up there, he said, I'm gonna be on 106 in Park. And I said, okay, everybody in prison, he gonna be on 106 in Park. So every TV is on 106 in Park. We waiting on him. And then that's when we found out, yeah, he got a little buzz.
He got buzz. Got a big buzz.
And I see you, even just in talking about it, you're smiling, and it's just, I can imagine, just as a parent, it's like, I want my child to be successful, and it's happening, and then you're in a predicament that you're in, and seeing it feels good to know that, he's carrying the family, and things are working out, and then everything that we are, seeing now happens. How did that feel when you heard the indictment come down and things of that nature?
From being in there and knowing what he up against now, you run right there so I can be with him to help him through this. Because being in the feds ain't no small task. This is a big thing. They don't give him no room. They just snatch you up with almost and put you in a hopeless situation. Everybody that goes in kind of got to fight their way out to show and prove that this is what it is. But, you know, it hurts to know that he have to go through what I just went through. I have to deal with this system now. It hurts real bad, you know, first losing the older son and to the streets, and now losing him to the government, you know. So that's why I'm there, hands-on, lawyers, hands-on with him, telling him every step of what to do now and how to fight this.
Being a person of faith, you know Allah is the best knower and planner, but when you lose a son, you know, to murder, and you lose a son to the jail system, how does that make you feel? Like, just your faith, how did that test your faith?
Oh, it does. It tests your faith. It tests your faith in a way that's, you have to be a parent to understand what I'm saying here. It really tests you, you know. But just like you said, that faith, you know, everything belongs to Allah. It don't actually belong to me. He just used me as a vessel, but it belongs to him. So I just got to be patient with what's going on here and trust in him and continue to make dua, which is supplication, that he brings about the victory that we are looking for in the situation, the relief that we're looking for.
When you came out, you know, you made it your business to change, right? To make sure you were out there telling the kids the right way to go about things and to try to be a positive in the community. Do you ever look back and be like, do you wonder if it was ever karma, what happened to your kids because of some of the things that you did, even though that you changed, you're a different person? Do you ever think about that or look at life like that?
No, you try to, not as in karma, but you look at it as though, like, I'm on the phone with them, on visit, telling them, don't go this way, don't go this route. I'm frowning upon this. I'm talking against this, gang banging, selling drugs, what we doing to the community. You know, you go to prison, you become a man, you see things that you ain't see before. You know, you enlightened now, you know, you see your wrong. So I'll never want to have my sons to go down that road. But at the same time, he don't go down that road. He just go down the road, which rap and different things like this put him in the same category, but just a little different, you know. They still saying, hey, you might not be selling drugs, you might not be doing these things right here, but they look at a rapper the same way. You know.
I also, you know, I wanted to ask about his case so much because the Durk that we knew, that I knew personally, he was such into giving back, right? He would call all the time about the things that he wanted to do for Chicago and the area that he grew up in and the things that he wanted to change and how he wanted to give kids an opportunity that they would think more than the street and have things to do. So with his organization, is his organization still out there being able to help, or is a lot of those funds and things been pulled from that?
Absolutely, Envy. So this goes back to 2020, you know. This didn't just happen yesterday. You know, sitting down with Durk Banks, you know, I remember the day when he was like, Kev, you know, this is my vision. This is what I want to do, because he was already doing the work. He's like, okay, but let's do it for real. And we say for real. Let's get a registered 501c3 and let's really, truly, you know, look at the impact that we can make. And one thing that we landed on, and still to this day, is like, Durk, this is your vision. This is your vision, and it's going to be our jobs. When I say our jobs, my job, the board of directors and those that support, we're going to help bring it to life. And to be able to look back and see from 2020 and all the amazing work that he's done. And as you know, in media, you know, a lot of folks don't want to talk about the great things and the positive things that individuals are out here doing, and he didn't do it for that. He did it for the fact that he know that, he said, Kev, these are things that I wasn't able to experience when I was a kid. So now that I'm in position to do it, I'm all in. Let's go. I'm the voice. So I'm like, all right. So sitting with him, I mean, all around the clock. When I say around the clock, I mean, as you know, he's coming from the studio at 3, 4 in the morning. He's kind of like, listen, this is what I want to do, and I'm digesting it. I'm saying, okay, from all the things that I'm hearing, all the things that I feel your passion, we created 4 foundation pillars based off the things that Durk Banks was truly invested in, wanted to do, and it started off with neighborhoods, prosperity, emerging leaders, health and wellness. So with all those 4 different pillars, there's a bucket of work that lives in within every one. So when we talked about real high level, you know, the neighborhoods, you know, think about all the national disasters that's happened. You know, takes me back to Houston several times with the hurricanes. There's a lot of seniors that had to go through the destruction of their properties, where Durk was like, look, let's get some boots on the ground down there. Let's get folks that can help restore their community and restore their homes, because it costs money to get folks out there to cut down trees or stay on the power company to ensure that these lines are fixed and safe. When we look at prosperity, and I could laugh, and we laugh about this to this day. When celebrities or athletes, whatever, think about doing nonprofits, you always hear back to school, let's do backpacks, and Thanksgiving, let's do turkeys. And we would say, you know what? Good for those that do that, because it's needed.
It helps, absolutely.
But for Durk, he's a thought leader. He's like, prosperity to me for back to school is, let's get some financial literacy programs together. So we took a group of kids that are in our cohort to learn about financial management, money management. Shout out to Bank of America and the City of Chicago Treasurer's Office for spending those hours and weeks with these young boys and girls to be able to educate them on things. Like Durk said, he didn't have the information that now that these kids were able to walk away with. And when you talk about those turkey drives, Durk would always say, you know what, Kev, what do people do with these turkeys that they don't got homes to cook them in?
Right.
You know, what are they doing with them? So we like, okay, let's get some hot meals that's ready to be served. So shout out to the Boston market of the world, where tens of thousands of families got hot meals that didn't have to wonder, how am I going to cook this turkey now that I got it? Where am I going to cook it at? So, those last two pillars, health and wellness. Cancer survivors, shout out to his wife, India, my sister, where they got together and said, we're going to do a Mother's Day honors, where we're going to recognize these Black women that are going through cancer. And as you know, unfortunately, sometimes if they go through the route of chemotherapy, they got to shave their head off. Now, going into a beauty supply store to put a unit on your head ain't probably what you want to do, right?
We got him.
Right? You don't want.
We got him
have
one.
no idea how much he knows about that.
We got him one.
You don't want to put that. You ain't gonna want to put
Trying to be
that.
funny in here.
Me.
He just mad.
I feel
That's
like
his
he had
wig.
the joke.
That's his
That was
wig
a
there.
great one. You have no idea how good that was.
But you know what that would do to one's self-esteem, no one going through that. So what we were able to do is, shout out to India and Kelvin as well, who's on the management side with Durk's foundation, is that they were able to get celebrity stylists to create custom units and get hair in advance of Mother's Day. So now on their day that we recognize them, they can feel good. And we know when you feel good, what Dion said, you look good, you feel good. And that's what we were able to do. But last but not least, and it ties into one of the things that really I know that lives with Durk the most, is that emerging leaders. And we talked about those students that Durk has taken the time and exposed to his college and career readiness cohort. So going all the way back to 2022, we said, you know what? All these young Black boys and girls that got passion. What are you passionate about? Because we're not going to just say go to college just to go to college. We want to make sure that there's programs and opportunities that align to what you're interested in. And now that we know, when we go take these college trips to Morehouse back in 2022, where we flew in from Chicago to Atlanta, and they got to learn about the programs. They got a chance to learn about Career Day, where the Atlanta Hawks, their executive office, had a roundtable with these young men and educated them about careers in the NBA. And it's not just about being a basketball player. It's about being marketing. It's about being HR or even real estate, which we didn't know about, So with that, being said, and shout out to NASCAR as well, because after we left Atlanta, we went over to Talladega College, and NASCAR hosted them for the career day. But the list goes on. Year after year, went to D.C. Durk gave over $350,000 in scholarship funds. $350,000 to scholarship funds. So students who are looking to go to Howard and students who are already at Howard that caught a jam to say, you know what, I don't know how I'm going to be able to finish this semester. The Grace Grant was able to provide those students with an opportunity. Last year we came to New York, came to Queens with St. John's University. Students had an opportunity to learn about those programs, and their career day was spent at Sony, spent at Alamo Records. So everyone can't be the next Lil Durk, but everyone can be that guy behind the production. And this is exposing these young Black boys and girls that Durk has been doing for a long time. And the lights haven't gone off.
Now you could see it. I mean, you could see it, in his faith walk. You could see it, and even when he named his last album, or the album before last, Almost Healed. Like you could see that he was absolutely, positively trying to make, the right moves and take the right steps to just be a better person.
I was going to ask y'all, the last thing that he did before he was taken into custody, it was the big prayer event that he had, and then he received the keys to the city.
Absolutely.
But the mayor, I believe it was the mayor, got a lot of backlash after he was arrested. And I think, there were certain people and things that like stepped back. So how hard has it been? Because the organization is tied to Durk. Like, are y'all facing opposition, or are people still like, no, we know he's a good person?
You're gonna face opposition just being a young black artist, a young black man, a young black woman. There's always gonna be trials and tribulations, and if we allow one situation like that to stop us, what we're doing, then we're losing the focus of what his true mission was. Yes.
I want to ask you something too, Dontay. I mean, 'cause I was looking at your bio, and I love this. You said when you got released from prison, your bio said you had to first forgive yourself for adding to the demise of your community. What did that realization, when did you get that realization that you had actually caused a lot of problems in your community, and how did you know that you had to forgive yourself for adding to it?
It was actually when I became a Muslim, because you got to reflect on your past. You got to change a lot about yourself. So when you're changing a lot about yourself, you start looking within like, oh, I had these principles, I had these morals, I had these values. This is the way I used to think. And you challenge with these things now, because now you see Islam finna change who I am, my character, and my outlook on life. So these are the things I did. Plus, one of the biggest things is seeing these young guys coming to prison. Coming in, I mean, day by day, every week they bringing a busload in. And my heart just keep going out to them because they don't know what's going on. They have no idea what they up against right here. So you got to start programs, start to educate them on the legal aspect, to start getting in this court and fighting for your life back. Because if you just sit there, the feds, you sit there, that's it. You got to get up and fight, and if you don't, and like I say, you'll be there for the rest of your life.
Man, what is needed to break the generational cycle of just violence in Chicago?
We working on that daily. I mean, boots is on the ground daily. I work with an organization called Chicago Cred, where we go around, and one of the main things we're doing right now with Chicago Cred, reducing gun violence in a transformative way, but at the same time, we start now the program of non-aggression, teaching them non-aggression. It's hard to tell them young guys to put the gun down, but no, what we're going to teach them is non-aggression. Don't be aggressive with that gun. Only use that gun to defend yourself. Only use that gun to defend people who are trying to come in your house. But don't go out looking for nobody. So guys who coming out of prison, guys who know what it's about, we got to stay on the ground. We got to give back. We got to be the ones about that change talk and that change behavior. We can't be OGs and then hanging out with the young guys doing just as worse as they doing.
Right.
We got to get out there and tell them. And we got to sacrifice ourselves to do this, because a lot of them going to be hard-headed. A lot of them going to push us away. A lot of them going to tell you outdated, go and sit down somewhere. But we got to stay on the front line out there, because we got to get them neighborhoods back to the place where they can be, where kids can come back out and play. Grandmamas and mamas can sit on the porch and walk. Stores can be utilized for not just hanging around there, used for, what they use for, and be a pillar of the community. So, we just—
Is it a lack of resources, like education, like lack of opportunity, all of that?
All of them, And what we got now with what's going on in politics is going to be even harder fight for us, trying to shut down the Board of Education,
Department of Education,
trying to do these, trying to attack the health care, trying to attack the veterans, Now the whole American is waking up, and so it puts more of a burden on us to try to help, because people that's already down finna stay down. We ain't got no opportunities for them to come up, because the administration ain't giving us these opportunities for them to come up.
Can you give us an update on what you can on Durk's case and how it's going? I know he was denied bond, but can you give us an update of what's happening and how his fans can support? Because it's been really quiet,
Yeah. Now, one thing I can say, well, y'all, the question y'all asked Kevin, how people looking at him now, it ain't a place I go. It's not a place that I go a phone call and I don't get where he get 100% support. Ain't nobody like turning their back on him or saying nothing negative about, other than, a few little blobs here and there, or podcasts who trying to get some type of recognition about saying something negative about him. But overall, 90%, everybody's there in a prayer, they support. He get many, many letters of, keep your head, keep going on. You're going to get up out of this. things of that nature there. So the support is 100%. And I love that about him because that tells you what kind of person he is. When no one is trying to, look at his downfall as something that we can now say, hey, look at him. We told you about him, not this type of thing here. So that's a beautiful thing there. And one more thing I'd like to speak on. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead. This is your interview.
Every time I go visit him or he called, just like Kevin said, he always got a new idea. I said, man, get in there and look at this case. Let's get focused on this. But he got a new idea. Hey, what you think about a hospital? What do you think about a school? What you think, it's always something new what he trying to do up in there as far as trying to do out here to help.
You mentioned like just how he has so much positive support from fans and people, and like people not backing away from what he's doing in the community. But I remember in December when they tried to get the bond that Envy was mentioning, the prosecutors tried to paint him out to be like this like super dangerous person and all those things. How do you have conversations with him? Because you said he's focused on new ideas, but are there ever times where he's like, yo, this is like I can't believe this is happening to me right now, and then things like that happen and he might lose faith or might lose sight? Like, does that happen at all?
Well, as a human, you sitting in there looking at four walls, you've been told to stand up for count, you've been told these things, something that you ain't normally used to. It's gonna have this effect on you.
Yeah.
But you always bounce back. You always look at the greater picture, because as a Muslim, we look and say to ourselves, what Allah is doing for us is greater than what they're doing to us. What Allah is doing for us right now, building us to be a better man, is greater than what they're trying to do to us and trying to tear us down. So he definitely building. He was telling me that, when he came in, there was like 4 Muslims on the block. He said now it's 17 Muslims on the block. So he in there,
people are converting.
Converting,
Got you.
Yeah. So that's a good thing. So he in there, keeping it going, keeping the work going,
What do y'all, when y'all come out here and y'all do these press hits, what are y'all hopes? What are y'all trying to do?
We're trying to bring a real look. What is Junior? I call him Junior. What is him? What he's supposed to be looking, how you supposed to view him. Don't take allegations and make them a fact. Don't take allegations and make it a conviction. Allegations are just that. These are allegations. Give us a chance in court to prove ourselves. Give us a chance, and this one thing, again, we shout out the mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, when they try to attack him. He said, don't give the brother his chance in court.
That's right. Due process.
Due process. Give him his chance in court. And this is what we ask everybody. Give our chance in court. And we'll prove that all of this is nothing but falsehood and lies.
When you talk about going places and wanting the conversation to be just fair for him, even if people are going to have their opinions, how hard is it for you? And you can answer this if you want to. I know it's a legal situation. So, for instance, like I know I've seen reports of like there were like text messages that allegedly were like between Durk and the guys who are who they threw the murder charges at for DThang, and then they have the verse from his song Aha, and they're trying to pin that like, yo, this is you saying what you did. How hard is it to go up against stuff like that, just because legally they're talking about that every single time he goes into court?
It's not hard if you get all the information, but I will refer. Now, I have to refer all of these things. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
I have to refer all these things to the legal team because, this is some of the things that they would have to answer and give a deeper understanding to. He got 3 great lawyers on the case, Drew Finley.
That's my guy. Love him.
Yes.
He's good.
Drew Finley, Jonathan out of Chicago, Bremer, and he got the lady, Christy O'Connor. So he got 3 good lawyers. She out of California, Drew is out of Atlanta, and Jonathan Bremen is out of Chicago. So they working around the clock. They constantly keep us updated. I talk to them regularly about the case, and so it's going good. All these text messages, these things here, they on top of all this. And like I said, give them his day in court, and they approved, what's the real truth about these text messages.
Right.
How confident are you?
As a Muslim, I'm confident in Allah. As a Muslim. And I just continue to make dua that we victorious in this case, and that Allah grant us the relief that we are seeking out of this. So looking at everything, is weak.
Mm-hmm.
But we make sure continue to trust in the law.
And what about with the government? Because the government, as we've seen with many cases before, they play a nasty game where they try to make somebody look crazy so that the jury looks at them as crazy from the start. We see that a lot.
A whole lot. And who don't know that in the person that's been in the belly of the beast.
Mm-hmm.
I know the tricks in the game they play. That's why, like I said, I stay on this case, looking at it from every angle, because I know their games, I know what they play, I know their lies, their deception. I know they'll create some things, and create some witness. Somewhere out of the blue, it'll be somebody come along, don't nobody know. Be like, who is this dude? And they'll put him up there to say some things, and everybody be like, So, yeah, I definitely know about them.
In your bio, one of the things that you mentioned in here is how much time you didn't get to spend with your kids because of your sentence that you had. Now, in present time, hopefully, and prayerfully when Durk is able to come home, what are you looking forward to being able to do with him? I know you lost DThang, but what are you looking forward to do with Durk and just your family now, once y'all get through all the muddy waters?
The same thing we was doing when I got out. I'm constantly with them. Now, I don't want to get my daughters mad, but I got 5 children, 3 daughters and 2 sons. Then when we get off the show, they be like, you ain't said nothing about us. Or So I got 3 beautiful daughters and 2 sons. One passed away and one were. What we looking to do now is we on another whole level now, going to see him, talking to him, minds have now combined now, and we just looking forward to doing things now with the grandkids. Raising them in the right way, embedding and putting in them the things that his experience, my experience, the do's and the don'ts in life. So we just looking to build a stronger family bond.
And I know y'all brought up India earlier, and we found out that they were married through the new music and the photo on the album. What conversations did you and Durk have before he decided to get married? And what are you talking to him as dad? You know what I mean? What advice are you giving him, or what's that like?
Okay, now as a Muslim,
because it's different for you, right?
Right. You got to get married. You cannot sleep with a woman that you're not married to. So these are my conversations to him. You have to be married. It's a great sin in Islam if you're not married. We don't believe in fornication. We don't believe in adultery, sleeping outside the marriage and different things like that. If you are interested in this sister, then let her know through marriage that you're ready to take on the responsibility of a husband. So, yeah.
All right, as a Muslim, are you on him about the content of his music? If he beats his situation and comes home, are you going to tell him that musically he should go in another direction?
He told me.
Oh.
He told me. So I'm just keep saying alhamdulillah. Every time I talk to him, he learning more about Islam and what he's supposed to be doing as a Muslim.
What do you say?
And he's saying that, hey, I can't talk about these things no more. I can't walk this way of life no more. So he already on point with all this, And that's one of the things about, prison give you time to really reflect, think, give you time, isolation to read, study. So now you're able to, you ain't distracted about these world things. This is a star. This is a artist. He on the planes all the time. He moving all the time. From the moment he wake up to the moment he go to sleep, he always doing something. So saying, he took his shahada, he became a Muslim in prison. I mean, at the prison when he came to see me. But then his life took off from there. So now he got a chance now to study. So everything that he need to know, he learning it right now. So he knowing, he telling me, like I said, no, I can't talk about that no more. I can't do this no more. I'm glad that I got married. I'm glad that I went this direction right here because he's trying to see now.
Wow. Well, definitely send him our love, man, and tell him that, we'll continue to pray for him, man, and support him. Absolutely.
Oh, and no doubt, because when I told him about this, he said, that's beautiful. Them, they right there, they going to keep it real.
Oh, yeah, we've been watching Durk since the beginning. Literally. Literally. Durk been up here with Vaughn and everybody. So it's like we've literally watched him grow up.
That's right.
And also, we can't forget about our main guy, Swiss.
Oh, salute to Swiss, absolutely.
We should definitely shout out to that brother, man. Beautiful. And that is, Swiss is one of his biggest mentors. That's one who talks to him, keep him on point, different things. Like he always calls Swiss. They always talking, what direction, what should I do? you know, and it's good to have somebody like Swiss in this corner, you know.
Absolutely. Well, appreciate you guys for joining us. Thank you so much.
I had one more thing I just thought of. That video of Wallow when he's talking to Durk and it went super, super viral. And he's telling him, like, you know, not to retaliate for DThang. And then it went re-viral when all this stuff happened with the case. When you first saw that video and saw that moment, I don't know if you, like, were there in person or what, but, like, as a dad, like, what was that feeling like just to see somebody pour into your son like that?
Beautiful, and I thank you. Appreciate it. Exactly like I mean, Allah truly reward you for that, because this is what we talk about. This is how we practice. No retaliation, because it's only going to keep it going, you know. So I love that. You know, I love that you open up like that. So thank you for that, you know. And I agree 100%.
Oh, no, I'm
That's
not
about
Wallow.
Wallow. That's about Wallow.
I'm sorry.
No, that's Wallow.
I'm thinking
He could never. Wallow is so positive and just does so many great things.
Million dollar
When they were in the studio and him and Gilly were sitting there, and he was because that went so super viral because of everything with the case, and I was just like, dang, as a dad, I wonder, like, you know, you watching that, like, that's what's up.
Agree with it 100%. And those are the things I said, because we actually, you know, we lost my son. And I don't know if y'all know, but when you lose a son in Islam, you have to wash his body.
Yes, I know.
So we had to wash his body, and we washing the body, and it's hurting, you know, to wash my son's body, to get out of 26 years and then have to bury your son, you know, that's that pain there is like, you'll never get used to it, you never accept it, but yet you accept it as a Muslim, but it's something that's always going to be deep in you. So I don't want to see another parent hurt like that. I don't want to see nobody have to go through that. So it got to stop.
Do you put any blame on yourself ever? Like, you like, man, you know, because the poor choices I made 26 years ago, I wasn't here the way I probably needed to be.
As a parent, you're going to always say that. You're going to say, what could I have did?
Right.
What could I have did better? Could I have said anything? Could I have did anything different to stop this? You know, but then Islam kick in, you were like, you did everything you were supposed to do. You tried to the best of your ability, but that struggle goes within you all the time.
Well, thank y'all for joining us. Dontay Banks, Kevin Freeman, thank you so much. And please keep us updated when you can.
Yes, sir. We'll do, and I appreciate y'all for having us.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you some more. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.